The flickering fluorescent lights of Northwood High had always hummed with a weary indifference, but tonight they seemed to throb, casting long, jaundiced shadows that danced with every anxious beat of my heart. It was just another late-night study session, or so I told myself. A few of us, the self-proclaimed academically ambitious, read hopelessly stressed, had been given special permission to stay after hours, cramming for the impossibly difficult calculus final. Tonight, though, the usual quiet hum of the building was punctuated by something else. A faint scratching, like fingernails dragging across chalkboards, seemed to echo from the distant, empty classrooms. I tried to focus on the derivatives in front of me, but my eyes kept darting to the closed door of the library. "Did you guys hear that?" Maya whispered, her voice barely audible above the rhythmic tap of Liam's pen. Liam, ever the pragmatist, shrugged. "Probably just Mr. Henderson polishing his trophies again. You know how he is." Mr. Henderson, our eccentric history teacher, was rumored to live in the school, emerging only to impart facts about ancient civilizations. But the scratching intensified, now accompanied by a low, guttural moan that seemed to emanate from the very walls. This wasn't Mr. Henderson. Sarah, who'd been pacing nervously, suddenly froze. Her eyes were wide, fixed on the old, dusty portrait of Principal Thorne, a stern-faced man who had overseen the school's construction in the 1950s. "His eyes," she breathed. "They're following me." I scoffed, trying to inject some much-needed normalcy into the rapidly escalating creepiness. "It's just the light, Sarah. You're overtired." But even as I said it, a prickle of unease crawled up my spine. Principal Thorne's gaze did seem unusually piercing tonight. Suddenly, the lights flickered violently, plunging us into a momentary, heart-stopping darkness. A collective gasp filled the air. When they sputtered back to life, something had changed. The books on the shelves seemed to be askew, several of them lying open on the floor. And the moaning, it was closer now. Liam, who had been relatively calm, now looked distinctly green. "Okay, that's not normal," he muttered, his voice cracking. "I think we should just go home." As if in answer, the library doors slammed shut with a deafening crash, rattling the glass panes. We all jumped, our chairs scraping back. No one had been near the doors. A chilling whisper slithered through the air, seeming to come from all directions at once. "You're not leaving." My blood ran cold. This wasn't some overactive imagination. This was real. Panic set in. Maya started to hyperventilate, while Sarah fumbled with her phone, her fingers trembling too much to unlock it. Liam, surprisingly, grabbed a heavy textbook, gripping it like a weapon. The scratching started again, this time from inside the walls, directly behind Principal Thorne's portrait. The moaning intensified, now sounding less human and more like something in agonizing pain. Then, the portrait itself began to vibrate. Dust motes danced in the air as cracks spiderwebbed across the canvas. We watched in horror as the painted face of Principal Thorne began to distort, his stern features stretching and twisting into a grotesque mask of agony. His eyes, once merely following us, now seemed to bulge, filled with an unspeakable terror. A raw, guttural scream tore through the silence, not from any of us, but from the portrait itself. The canvas ripped with a sickening tear, and a black viscous liquid began to seep from the shredded painting, dripping onto the polished wooden floor like tar. From the swirling darkness behind the portrait, a skeletal hand, long and bony, with nails like sharpened talons, slowly emerged, reaching out. It was followed by another, and then a gaunt, decaying face, its eyes hollow and filled with an ancient malice. It was Principal Thorne, but not as we knew him. He was a desiccated husk, a living corpse held together by malevolent will. "You trespass," the cadaverous Principal Thorne croaked, his voice a dry rustle of dead leaves. "This school, it belongs to us." We screamed. It was a primal, terrified sound that echoed in the suddenly suffocating silence. We scrambled backward, overturning chairs, desperate to create distance from the horror that was pulling itself out of the portrait. The library doors, which had been locked, now swung open with a slow, deliberate creak, revealing a hallway plunged into an even deeper gloom. And from that gloom, more shadowy figures began to emerge, their forms indistinct, their eyes glowing faintly in the oppressive darkness. These weren't students, these were others. We were trapped. The school, once a place of learning, had become a tomb, and we were its latest, unwitting residents. The scratching, the moaning, the whispers, they weren't just echoes of the past, they were the symphony of our imminent demise. And as Principal Thorne's decaying smile widened, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth, I knew with horrifying certainty that the final exam was about to begin, and we were all going to fail.